Welcome to the Celiac Diaries podcast. I'm your host, Lucia Cordero, and this is where we get real about life with celiac disease. Each week, I'll share practical gluten-free tips, wellness hacks, and honest conversations about the emotional side of living with an autoimmune condition. Think of this as your weekly mix of support, relatability, and inspiration to help you not just survive, but thrive with celiac. Before we dive in, just a quick reminder, I'm not a medical professional. Everything I share is based on my own experience living with celiac disease. This podcast is not medical advice, so please always consult your doctor about your own health. Hi guys, welcome back to the Celiac Diaries podcast. I'm your host, Lucia Cordero, and we have a special New Year's episode in store. I'm very excited. I am going to share with you guys my 2026 New Year's celiac goals and how I want to prioritize my health in this new year, especially with managing my celiac disease. So I'm excited to get into it. Hopefully it's inspirational, gives you that little pep talk or motivation to make your own goals for 2026, whether it's celiac or not. So let's kick it off with our gluten-free fave of the week. You guys, I went to a new fast casual restaurant opening in New York City the other week, and I'm beyond obsessed. It's called Matter. It's in NoHo, and it's basically a fast casual restaurant that's entirely gluten-free, so we don't even have to worry about celiac when we walk in. And they have these little kiosks and this mobile app that lets you customize your bowl literally by the ounce or by the gram. For example, if you're ordering a salmon bowl and let's say it has salmon, cauliflower, broccoli, rice, you can literally go into the kiosk and adjust your portion size of salmon from like 5 ounces to 7 ounces to 7.5 ounces. Like, it's literally insane. So it's really cool if you want to just really highly customize your bowl. I also feel like I'm such a big fast casual person. I feel like most young professionals in New York are. And I feel like sometimes if you go to a bowl place, you never know how much chicken they're going to give you or how much rice they're going to give you, especially if you order online. But this really helps you have full control over your portion sizes, which, I personally think is so cool, and it's such a revolutionary concept, and I'm so excited about this restaurant. I wish I lived closer. I would literally be there every day, so maybe it's a good thing that I don't. But they did give me a referral code. This is not sponsored by any means, but I will try to link the referral code in the show notes and also on my Instagram at Celiac Diaries Pod if you guys are in New York City and you want to try it. And my code will give you $5 off each of your first 3 meals. So go check out Matter. I love it, I love it, I love it. Next up is News of the Week. So an Illinois law updating allergen awareness training will take effect January 1st, 2026. It adds gluten-related content to the required allergen training for certified food service sanitation managers. So they will have to take training on what gluten is, celiac symptoms, safe gluten-free prep, and cross-contact prevention. It does not require all restaurant staff to take gluten training or make restaurants gluten-free accommodating. It's just meant to improve awareness and safety for people with celiac disease. So this is really cool. I think, honestly, it's kind of a bit of a bare minimum, and I need to do more research on what other states already have these laws. But it is great that, managers of a restaurant would at least know what gluten is, what celiac disease is, because I think sometimes it can be really disheartening if you go to a restaurant and they just have no idea what you're talking about. So I think this is just great progress for general awareness and safety for everybody. Okay, so let's get into the topic for today's episode, all of my New Year's resolutions and goals with celiac disease for 2026. I'm so excited to share this with you. None of these goals are extreme. They're not about being perfect with celiac disease. It's just about being intentional about my health and just making sure that I'm staying consistent, I'm staying disciplined, I'm staying aware, I keep educating myself about celiac disease, and I'm choosing wellness and health habits that are going to support my health long term, just in general, but also with managing this chronic condition. So if you're listening and you also have celiac disease, obviously this could be inspirational to you. Even if you don't, though, I really think it's just great to have wellness goals in the new year because at the end of the day, in my opinion, health is really everything, and it's so important to be intentional about it. So just take what resonates with you, leave what doesn't. These are just the goals that I'm really feeling heading into the new year. And I'm such a New Year's goals person, so I'm obsessed with this idea. I also did a YouTube video on this on my channel, Lucia Cordero. If you want to check out my overall goals for the year, these are just my specific goals related to celiac disease and wellness. And if you do watch that video, you will learn that my word of the year for 2026 is consistency. And I chose that word for so many different reasons, mainly because of career goals that I have, but I think it really ties in perfectly to celiac disease because being consistent with your gluten-free diet and your follow-up appointments and just your health in general is really what helps you thrive with celiac disease. So I think it's a great celiac word for 2026. All right. First up, I have movement and exercise goals. So as I shared on this podcast, so you might know, I am running the United Half Marathon in New York City, actually with the Celiac Disease Foundation. So I'm running as a part of Team Gluten Free, which is really full circle for me. So I'm really excited about the half marathon. One, I'm going to be raising money for celiac disease, which is awesome. But two, I'm just excited to do a half marathon. It's going to be my first half marathon. And I think training for this will just support my health, my mental health, and all of that is connected to your gut health. And I think it'll just be something that'll be an amazing challenge for me. And yeah, it's just like an investment in my health and in myself. And I'm really excited to just be training consistently with that. In tandem, one of the things that people say is really important for any sort of running training that you're doing is weightlifting. As I mentioned in my last episode, I have osteopenia, and one of the big treatment plans for that is weightlifting. So that's something I want to continue to prioritize in 2026 to help improve my bone density. So those are my goals around exercise that I'm super excited about. Moving on to food and just food safety in terms of the gluten-free diet. One of my goals for the year is to cook more meals at home. I'm totally guilty of being that New York girl that just picks up a bowl from a fast casual restaurant every single night. And especially being an influencer, I feel like I get a lot of free meals. So it's really easy to not cook at home living in New York City. But I really want to save money and I want to just learn to cook. I think that that'll be so empowering for me. And I think with having celiac disease, eating out is a risk every single time unless you're going to a 100% gluten-free restaurant. So I feel like it'll just help reduce anxiety. It'll give me more control. And it is just better for you in general, even if you don't have celiac disease, to have more home-cooked meals. So I'm excited to do that. Another thing along those lines, I know I'm still going to be doing some pickup and delivery. So my goal for that is to really do more research before I order food for pickup, especially because I'm a busy on-the-go gal. I really don't enjoy going to a fast casual restaurant and ordering the bowl in person. I want to order it on the mobile app beforehand to save time. But a lot of times on the mobile apps, they don't have space for you to write that you have an allergy, especially with delivery apps. So I really need to be better about calling a restaurant beforehand, asking the questions so I know with 100% confidence that something is not just gluten-free, because that can be easy to figure out, but that something is celiac safe in terms of cross-contamination. And, maybe that means that I need to stop just ordering things online from places that aren't 100% gluten-free, and I really do just need to go in person and, take the time to do that because it is worth the time if it's going to help me have, less risk of having gluten, because that's obviously very important for my life. An example of where I didn't do this that's kind of embarrassing, honestly, guys, is Westville. I'm obsessed with Westville in New York City. It's a chain. It's super healthy. They do have so many gluten-free options, but their steak is not gluten-free because of the soy sauce, I think, that they use on it. But I, for some reason, thought it was gluten-free, and I ordered it for delivery. And then I get a call from the restaurant, and I'm so glad that they called me. That was so nice of them, because I did mark on the order that I had a gluten allergy, they called me and said, hey, just so you know, the steak isn't gluten-free and there's no way for us to make it gluten-free. And I was like, you're kidding me, because I've totally had this steak before and I just didn't realize. And they were nice enough to be like, oh, we'll give you 2 salmon instead. But you really do need to make sure that you're double checking, because most places will not do that. And that kind of goes into my next goal, is just being better about advocating for myself and asking questions at restaurants. I had Lex Decker and my Seba Gluten-Free on the pod, and she mentioned something that kind of blew my mind about making sure that if you're ordering gluten-free pasta at a restaurant, to let them know to use different pasta water. I never thought to ask that specific question, and I think that that's something I need to be better about when I'm out at restaurants, is just taking the 5 minutes to be like, okay, how is this really cooked? Is there a shared fryer? You know, cross-contamination is a big issue for me, and really asking about those protocols and making sure I know for sure and not assuming that they're going to cook something a certain way just because I say that I have a gluten allergy. So I think that's really important. Next up is just staying educated and getting more involved in the community like I am with this podcast and advocacy efforts. I think there's so much going on right now in celiac research, policy updates, advocacy efforts, and I just want to be informed and aware about them. Not only because I have this podcast, but just because I have celiac disease, and it's important to just stay educated on your disease. If there's new research coming out about it, it's really important for me to know that. And I want to continue that, not just for my personal life, but for this podcast, for this community. I want to continue to have more guest episodes, because I've learned so much from the guests that I've had on, from like little things to just even, connecting with people with our shared experiences. And I'm here to learn alongside you guys. And I'm excited to hopefully learn a lot more about celiac disease and, what's going on in that sphere in 2026. And hopefully there'll be some good news for us. Well, we shall see. Some more like medical care specific goals that I have. As I mentioned, I have osteopenia. I really want to focus more on my calcium intake to improve my bone density and hopefully, reverse that and get that back to normal over time so that I don't have osteopenia anymore. I want to continue to be consistent with my supplements. I want to get my blood work done on a regular basis so I know when I need to adjust my supplements based on any deficiencies, so I'm not taking too much of something. I think it's important. Like, you can't just get your blood work done once and then decide what your supplements are going to be and then just like continue that for years. Like, you should probably check on it like at least every 6 to 12 months, I think. And again, I'm not a doctor, so that's not like an official recommendation, but that's something that I want to be trying to do. And then another thing with that is I currently don't have a celiac doctor in New York City. I had, and I'm not going to get into it, but I just had like maybe not the best experience with the celiac doctor that I did have. And it's been okay. I think I last saw them about 6 months ago, so it's okay that I haven't established a new one since then, but I do want to establish a new celiac provider in New York City. So that's a goal of mine for next year, to just continue that long-term monitoring and making sure that everything's going okay. So take this as your sign if you don't have a celiac doctor established. I think it's so important for everyone with celiac to have one that you at least see once a year, to just make sure that everything's good and that everything's on the right track. Another thing, and this is less of like a goal, but more of a lesson that I learned from this year that is a bit more personal, but we've gotten personal on the pod before, so you guys know what you're in for. And I've shared a bit, like I talked about it with No Gluten Gabby on the podcast, a little bit about our dating experiences. And I think for me, I really had a positive experience this year with dating, where I was dating someone that just like made me feel so supported with celiac disease in a way that I've just never felt with a romantic connection before. I feel like typically no one is rude about celiac disease, which I think honestly is the bare minimum for your romantic person, to not be rude about your chronic illness. But no one before this experience was really like so supportive. For example, like anytime we would go out to eat together, they would order 100% gluten-free and just other things that I won't get into, but it just really did teach me that level of support is possible, and that I think like the right person will want to have that level of support for you with celiac disease and not see it as something that's annoying or a burden or just make you feel like it's a burden to them. Like, again, no one has been rude about it in the past, but I think like it's definitely felt in the past that my celiac disease was a burden for them. And I don't want to feel that way, but I guess I didn't realize that I could feel that way and that someone would be so supportive. So that was just a really cool like learning lesson for me that I want to keep in mind when I date next year, and to not settle for someone that doesn't support me in the way that I know now is possible. All right, so those are kind of all of my lessons and goals from the year and things I want to focus on. And keep in mind, heading into 2026, I can't believe we're here, guys. It's crazy. It's actually insane that 2026 is here, but it's going to be a great year. I'm really excited for everything to come with the podcast in 2026 and continuing it and growing this community. Consistency is a great word, not just for my celiac habits and my career goals, but for this podcast. I want to stay consistent with it every single Wednesday. So I'm excited to continue this podcast and just grow this amazing community that we've built thus far. Thank you guys for being on this journey, especially so early on this podcast lifespan. And if you are setting goals or reflecting on your year, I just hope that you really take the time to choose goals that are going to support your long-term health, your peace of mind, and make you have the best 2026. I'm wishing you guys all the best. Happy New Year. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to rate, follow, and review the show. Leave us a 5-star review, guys. And I will see you next year. Thanks for listening to this week's episode of the Celiac Diaries podcast. I hope you're leaving with a tip, a story, or just a little inspiration to live your best life with celiac. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to follow the show, share it with a friend, or leave a review. I'll see you back here next Wednesday. And until then, stay well.